all of us go through difficulties. Some of us go through difficulty with family, with spirituality, with the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, with ourselves, physical sometimes, psychological. We all go through trials and difficulties. And as a result, when it comes to patience, in regard to these issues, each one of them is different. So with the ulama, when they define patience here, they're speaking from personal experience, as if they're telling you, look, to me, that's how I see patience. So Junaid, when he says, look, swallowing this bitterness without frowning, what does that mean? Like you're going through difficulty and no one even knows that you're going through difficulty. How so? Because you're so patient that no one is paying attention that you're going through hardships. Unfortunately, some people, when they go through hardship, what do? They post it online. They go public. They talk to everybody. They just want everyone to validate them and feel, good towards them or this or that. So they just kind of publicize their agonies. And they're not showing restraint. They're not showing patience. So he says, look, true patience is when you swallow the bitterness of your test without making people notice that in your face. Who can handle this? Al-Junaid speak about patience from an internal way. Like, you can swallow it without showing any expression. The Noon is speaking about also patience in regards to actions, like at-taba'ud an al-mukhalafat, like you distance yourself from everything that is prohibited. So it's there, it's tempting, and it's easy even to cross the line and go and satisfy yourself with that. But you restrain yourself, you exercise patience to stay away from these mukhalafat, these actual prohibitions. So there's action over here. It's not just like, you go through some of the qadr of Allah, tests of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would require from you just to show patience, swallow it, and just no expression on your face. But here, it's an action, requires action from you when it comes to see these temptations over here. وَالسُّكُونُ عِنْدَ تَجَرُّعِ وَصَصِ الْبَلِيَّةِ, and stay calm when you are swallowing the pain of all these trials. And that's from the qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And obviously, and then when it comes to being in public, when you're being in public, no one knows about your trials. Unfortunately, we live in a society that it seems that everybody goes through some hardship and difficulty. They rush immediately to publicize that so that can gain, public sympathy, unfortunately, from their friends, from their relatives, from the people. But to stop, pause, reflect, and have the guts to face the challenge, and try themselves to deal with it on their own until, alhamdulillah, they overcome these hardships. So that's what it refers to. You show yourself, alhamdulillah, you're self-sufficient, you're strong enough to handle this, even though you're going through some really hardships in public. The first thing that Imam Ibn Qayyim here, when he talks about these definitions, he goes, الوقوف مع البلاء بحسن الأدب. That when you face trials, you face it with noble character. Now, noble character here means with two. First of all, with the one who's testing you with that. And who is that, ya Jama'ah? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. How many times have we heard from people when they are tested with something, no matter what it is? What do they say? The first thing you hear from them is just like saying, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why this? Why that? We always question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's judgment. That's not husn adab. That's not a noble character with Allah azza wa jal. Other people, and I keep saying this to people, and I keep hearing it from people, whenever you ask them, how are you guys doing? They say, alhamdulillah, I can't complain. I said, you already complained. Once you say the word, I cannot complain, you already complain in a subtle way. Worse than that, people, they say, alhamdulillah, it can be better. What exactly you're saying? That is not adab with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is not a noble character with Allah azza. You're already complaining. To me, don't complain to me. You want to complain to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because what you're doing right now is you're complaining about Allah azza wa jal to a human being. So part of husn al-adab ma Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we don't really exercise any aversion to Allah's test in that fashion. The second adab is adab with the people. That no matter how difficult things are, you keep your noble character. Some people, subhanAllah, on the moment of a trial, what happens to them? They lose it. They lose themselves, they lose their cool, they lose their akhlaq and their manners, and they forget whom they're talking to. Until they recover from that shock, and then they realize the mistakes that they have done. So he says, as-sabr over here is when a person is going through difficulty or hardship, they show husn al-adab, noble character at all times over here. So even though you're going through difficulty, but you don't even care about it, because you want to make sure that you don't show any aversion to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's test that He's putting upon you.